Hi, I'm Kyle Wilson and I'm back with more of the best of Scotland. This time we're exploring the ancient capital city of Perth, the historic county town for all of Perthshire. Thanks for joining us. In part 2, we'll explore this modern city, wander through art-filled vennels, taste locally sourced Perthshire foods, marvel at displays inside one of the UK's oldest museums, and finally, we'll travel through a vast woodland park which covers thousands of acres and is known throughout the UK as Big Tree Country. Start off by taking a short stroll across the Queen's Bridge, which was opened by the Queen herself in 1960. Once across, you'll find a compact city centre that is an ideal spot for a day out or a short city break. Craftsmen and their guilds were once significant trades and dominated the local economy until the arrival of the train in 1848, transforming Perth into the trading capital and destination for tourists. From museums and art galleries, street art and Georgian architecture to independent local eateries and retail shops, who take great pride in sourcing their products and food from other locally sourced businesses and farms. You'll find something to suit your taste here. If you enjoy the local arts and culture of a place, then be sure to venture through the city's many streets and their little lanes. Perth's little lanes are also known by the locals as vennels, and the term originated in royal burghs created in the 12th century. The word vennel derived from the old French word vennel, meaning alley or lane. In Perth, there are a series of vennels that still remain. Evocative, attractive and artistic, these cultural arteries will encourage you to explore the nooks and crannies of this charming city. I met up with local artist Ian Imrie, who in some ways was the very man who brought back Perth's vennels into the hearts and minds of the wider community, reigniting the imagination of the community and the great potential of these vennels found throughout his world-class artwork.
Well, my name's Ian Imrie. I'm a street artist, but I'm also a fine art dealer and have been an antique dealer for a long time. I decided to leave the Navy and do my national service, which I did 2 years in Germany in the Cold War with NATO forces. And I'm coming out and getting demobbed from there. I had no jobs, no qualifications, nothing at all, no certificates or whatever. But I did try to take the entrance exam for the Art College in Dundee and managed to pass it, and graduated in 1965 and became an art director and an art executive, also in charge of corporate identity, all that sort of business. But I've always been fascinated by objects, whether it be Egyptian or whatever, antique objects. So I started my own antique business, and I've been doing that for 50 years. My passion all through that was to be an artist and to make enough money that I could just do what I want. So that's what I did. It's a challenge and I love it. At 3 o'clock in the morning, lying in bed, my head is buzzing with ideas for street art.
The man is lovely. His story is one we can all share and relate to. The story of finding and expressing who we really are, despite those who may be unable to see the good we offer the world. Witnessing people expressing their unique personalities, especially when it enhances the place and inspires the people who live and work here, is a joy to watch. That's what we need more of round here, not weedy-willy politicians. We need more of these guys and girls. Beyond the streets, Perth is also surrounded by lush, bright green farmlands, which makes the city a haven for foodies, but not just any old foodie. The region's diverse weather means this place has no shortage of variety in the food it has to offer. The local farm-to-table scene is growing, and it's attracting a loyal fan base all year round, which means your chances of getting your hands on foods that are made and sourced locally on nearby Scottish farms is very high indeed. So it's about lunchtime here and I'm looking for something quick, fresh and affordable. So I've narrowed my choices down to this local eatery right here, Provender Brown. So let's go in and have a look.
I'm Diane Brown. I'm the owner of Provender Brown Delicatessen. Provender Brown is a deli in Perth, a very broad-based deli. We try to cover as many bases as possible. We're particularly known for cheeses. Lots of them are from the local area, but from all over Scotland and the UK. You know, we particularly like dealing with local people that can build up a bit of a relationship with. Abernight Brewery, which is a great one. That's a relatively new business. They're close to where I live and also very local to Perth. They have a great beer called Canoe Red. In fact, I think here's one. There's Canoe. And, because Canoe is a local area of Perth, Canoe Hill is very famous around here. We sell loads of this, people love it. We have a few seats in the window so people can come in and grab a coffee or some soup and sandwich at lunchtime. In the summer we have a couple of tables outside. We have a small kitchen downstairs. We make fresh sandwiches every morning. We make our own quiches, our own soups, salads in the summer. So we're very focused on just a few things that we do well. Supermarkets have come on so much in the time that we've been open. There's so much more available in the supermarkets. Sometimes I think, why are we doing this? You can get everything in the supermarket. And then I will, for whatever reason, buy something that we stock. And there is no comparison in the taste and the quality. It's always heartwarming in a way to realise actually what we do is better. It's so much better. It tastes better, it's fresher, it hasn't got all these air miles, it hasn't been vacuum packed.
So it has become more of an exchange of, you know what your customers like, and you can exchange recipes, and we try to provide... Bye. And we try to offer help and assistance.
We just love being here, love doing what we're doing, and we want to carry on doing it for as long as we can and hope people will continue to support us.
Diane and the staff here at Provender Brown are so helpful. I really love their story and I really like how they focus on locally made and locally sourced food. There's the way that they think about food really does change my perception on what good food really is. And there's a reason why so many people are now starting to focus their hard-earned money on local businesses, because they know that by supporting local businesses, they're supporting the local economy and place that they've come to love so dearly. Not only that, people realize that they can make a difference no matter where they are in the world simply by doing that. And they've come to also realize that that difference of spending their money locally reduces automobile use, reduces habitat loss, and also reduces air pollution over the long term. So, simply by buying a locally made soup that sources their ingredients from local farms, you're making a world of difference no matter where you travel in the world. Ask the locals and you'll soon find out that Perth is known as the Fair City. Perth has been known as the Fair City ever since Sir Walter Scott put pen to paper in 1828 and published the novel The Fair Maid of Perth. The story is based on the strange but historically true events of the bloody battles of the North Inch, in which the main character was called Catherine Glover, and she lived in what was known as the Fair Maid's House, which was this house right behind me. So many people enjoyed this story that it attracted international attention and put this city in the spotlight. Dating back to 1475, this delightful and historic little house is now the oldest secular building in the city. The little niche in the wall of the Fair Maid's house underneath the eaves once housed Perth's curfew bell. There was also an interesting stone set in the ground at the corner, which may have been an ancient boundary stone. The motto, Grace and Peace, are carved above the door and give an insight into the integrity of both the Fair Maid and her city. Today, the Fair Maid's House is a popular visitor centre. It's open from April to October every year and it's entirely run by volunteers. I will point out though that the reason why there's no one here right now is because we're currently in January. Take a short walk up the street and you'll find the hard to miss Georgian architecture disguised as Perth Museum and Art Gallery. The tall, white stone columns of the museum and art gallery guard the statue of former Lord Provost Thomas Haymarshall. The man is credited with building Perth's new town, and he belonged to Perth's eminent 18th century families and built excellent examples of Georgian architecture. However, I'm not so sure these wealthy families looked out for him all too well, because the man died alone and penniless. It's one of the oldest museums in the UK and has a collection of over 500,000 pieces of artwork, and should be viewed as one of the most important things to do in Perth to learn more about the history of its people, the culture, and just the whole place in general. As you head inside, you'll be greeted by the main reception area, which sits beneath a beautiful bit of architecture, the stunning glass dome. Before progressing through to the main galleries beyond, spare a moment for the spectacular Pictish cross slab which sits unassumingly off to one side. Okay, so as you come into the main reception area, just take a look at the Pictish stone before you go any further. It's known as St Mado's, and it was found at St Mado's Church, which is just north of the River Tay. It stands about 1.5 meters high and it's just under a meter wide. And if you look closely, you can see the carvings around the cross area, and you can also see the carvings of animals from the bottom leading up. Just a really beautiful stone in general, and lots of history. Access to the library and the upper round gallery is from the main reception, but the gateway to most of the galleries is the circular central lobby beyond the reception area, home to some fine artworks, both old and very modern. It is worth remembering that the art galleries carry exhibitions that change every few months. The museum revolves around two core areas, wild and wonderful Perthshire, which allows visitors to take a trail through the exhibits and learn about the fauna, flora and geology, as well as wildlife that has occurred through the ages. Thoroughly modern in approach, this combines exhibits, information and hands-on sections designed to appeal to everyone. This emerges into what feels like the museum's largest area, devoted to the story of Perth and its people. It covers the whole history of human activity in the area and allows you to chart man's progress from an age of stone tools to the world we live in today. It's a really good museum to visit if you're looking to learn more about the history of Perth and its people. The thing that stuck out to me in this museum was its wild and wonderful Perthshire exhibit. If you look at Perthshire as a whole, it has over 250,000 acres of vast woodland. It's known throughout the UK and Scotland as Big Tree Country, and that's where we're going now. The whole of Perthshire makes up more than 200,000 acres of open woodlands for you to enjoy, and it includes more champion trees than anywhere else in the UK. There's no wonder why they call it the Big Tree Country. This place is huge. The final stop I've come to before we continue our journey north is Canule Hill Woodlands Park, which sits right at the heart of this very city. It literally hugs the place with its rich natural fur. So to reach the park, just head over the Queen's Bridge, hike up a mildly challenging road, and you'll eventually reach the official signpost for Canule Hill Woodland Park. As you begin hiking up the small grassy paths, just take a stop, look behind, and you'll see the River Tay rushing off into the distance. The Woodland Park forms a tranquil haven for people and wildlife, with miles of grassy paths and waymarked nature trails through fine mixed woodlands. Following the nature trails, you'll notice the occasional keep fit jogger, various walkers who visit here regularly, and the local orienteers group who hold events to test their skills. But despite all of these uses, this woodland park is usually quite a quiet place for you to come and enjoy the countryside at your own pace. While you enjoy the fresh, open Scottish air and the wild lifestyle, take the time to notice the beautiful surrounding scenery, the foothills of the Grampian Mountains, and the various sculptures found scattered along the trail, such as animal sculptures like this eagle. And if you're lucky, you might also spot the occasional red deer. But unfortunately, we've yet to spot a red deer. The hill itself is some 222 metres high, and the top of the hill is dominated by a folly of a ruined castle which was built in the 19th century as a reflection of the castles on the Rhine. It stands on the rocky cliffs high above the River Tay and looks out to roads that lead north, deep into the Highlands. So this window right here looks out over the River Tay and the surrounding hills on the horizon. We're 222 metres high up in the hills. The cliff is right here. You can actually see the traffic on the road below. These ancient ruins have withstood the test of time for hundreds of years, and it really is an incredible legacy that has been left behind. I recommend it if you're visiting Perth. Come up to Canoe Hill, right to the summit, and enjoy this spectacular piece of architecture that's been left behind for generations. Scotland's fair city is in many ways championing a sustainable future. The support that it gives its local people, small independent businesses, wildlife and farms is creating a haven for visitors and tourists who venture here. I'm now catching a bus that will take us into Blairgowrie, our final destination, which is in the heart of Scotland. I really hope you've enjoyed visiting the fair city with me and learning how it came to be today. Remember, the world is at your feet. Go and explore. Try not to get too lost, and we'll see you at the next video. Thanks for joining us.